Let's enter the room where the race time trial takes place. In front of the riders is a 5x6 computer screen with the name of each of the 8 riders and race-specific information for each rider to see their race status. For example, how far behind or ahead of the others, distance traveled, time into the race, the speed, the watts, and so on. The selected interviews that you will hear go beyond just asking the traditional, how did you feel while racing? I, as a fellow competitor, wanted to hear and to learn what parameters from the race screen did the racers use during the race. Many of their responses are humorous as they show the competitiveness of friendly rivals.
Good job, Dick. Nice job. So, Kathy, you did very well in the race. What were you thinking as you were pedaling along?
I was thinking that I wanted to get it over with, but I was also thinking that I had to work harder, and I was having trouble breathing because I worked too hard at the beginning. But it was really fun. I was thinking about the people around me too and how they were doing. And I was watching the screen and seeing all the people up there.
Were there any parameters that you were looking at, such as who was first or the name?
I was watching wattage.
Wattage.
But I was also just watching how far I was falling behind everybody. I was watching that a lot.
Fascinating. You finished first in your heat. What did you think of the race?
That was much harder than I thought it was going to be. After the first mile, it was tough. Had to ease up a little bit. It was hard. By the second, third mile, eased up a little bit more. And then give everything I got the last mile.
Wow. The indicators that they had on the screen, what was the most important ones to you?
The watts.
The watts?
Yeah.
You kept track of the watts there?
Yeah, I wanted to stay like around 300.
300?
Average. So I know if I was slipping a little bit, I had to push a little harder. So.
And 300, that is really keeping it up there. That's pushing.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's like my training average, usually in a mile, like 300.
It's interesting, isn't it, because of the competition. You can see everybody else, and you can see what you're doing against.
Yeah, it motivates you a little bit, you know, to push hard. It's good.
That's great. And Kathy, you did a super job in yours. What did you think of it?
I thought it was fun. I thought it was harder than it was going to be. And the recovery, I didn't think it was any... It looks like a downhill, but there really didn't feel that much of a downhill. You try and crank it, and then you're uphill again. So.
And how can you tell if you were going uphill or going downhill?
Really by my pedals. I couldn't really tell on the screen, but I guess there's red and green lines, and that's going to tell you, now that I know that, when you go up and downhill.
Right. And what about the parameters? What did you keep your eye on as you were pedaling?
The speed.
Speed?
The speed, my position, how many feet the person in front of me was, and the person behind me was, and my watts.
Did position help you any? Did it keep you going a little bit
it kept me
more than the regular race because you could see everybody?
Yeah, I think it kept me motivated.
Great.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you. Great job. Super. When I first started off, with a speed of light. I was in 6th place. And then I happened to realize after about a minute or so as I started to get exhausted that this was a 6-mile race. So that was one of the first things. And then as I was going along, I was looking at my cadence right on the bike.
Yeah.
I'd been told to keep the cadence as high as I could and still feel comfortable. So I was up over 100 the whole race almost, and I was in last position. So then I began to realize that actually what I should have done was to probably gone down to 90 as far as the cadence. I was also looking at the graphics, and I could see myself in a position that I was in. So that got me more incentive also to continue to go up. So it was fascinating. The whole race was just wonderful. I found myself much more competitive than I thought it was going to be. Not amongst my fellow athletes, but because I wanted to do much better than I thought I was going to. Woman, what was the main indicator that you took a look at on the board when you were racing?
I was watching my Mike Bradford.
What were the other parameters? One was Bradford parameter. What was the other one?
No, it's just Bradford.
Bradford. Were there some type of indicators that you were looking at as you were in the race here?
Two. One is I was watching the number of watts I was generating.
Watts,
all
okay.
the time. The other, I kept looking over and seeing what Bradford was. Because I know Bradford's a little faster than I am.
Many things to take a look at right on the screen. What was important to you?
I was just watching Noah. I was just trying to stay next to Noah. So that's all I was doing, just trying to run.
So, Norm, you did unbelievable in your race. And one of the interesting things, when I was talking to other people in your heat, I would ask them what parameters were important to them. And unbelievably, most of them said keeping up with Norm.
Oh yeah, well most of my ride was out of fear that I was going to come in last. You know, at the first mile I was in 6th place and I said, I better get going.
Wow, you finished second though. You must have humped.
Yeah. So yeah, so it's mostly out of fear that I race.
Jessica, you did a super job out there in the bike.
Thank you.
And you're in #1 position.
Number 2.
#2, okay. But #2
I'll
is
take it.
fantastic. You'll take it. What was the key thing that you were focusing on in the race? What were the? We had in front of us the screen that had a lot of parameters. Were you looking at that? Were you looking at somebody else? What were you looking at?
I was looking at my distance between myself and the leader, the other female leader, because I came in second female in my heat. I was looking at the distance. I was paying attention to my watts, and in my mind, I was also trying to, as far as energy-wise, conserve energy, looking at the screen, seeing where I was, where the hills were.
So what happens after the first 2 minutes?
What happened? Well, I thought I was looking under the wrong person's name. I was looking under Kathy, not Kathleen. So I busted my ass, thinking I was in last place. Come to find out, I was in 6th place.
I, as an athlete, happen to realize, because you obviously interact with me a lot, as a participant, without you, I couldn't make this thing happen. So you're just as important to me up there on the bike as
having a bike, really.
Having the bike.
Because if I wasn't here helping you guys out, your bikes wouldn't be shifting, you wouldn't be really riding them. So, yeah, you're right. I'm definitely a helper out here.
Thank you, John.